The day after Thanksgiving. I work for the Postal Service, so I don't get a long weekend, of course. But man, a little cold front came through yesterday. It's like 46 degrees here in Orlando. Up around Ocala, probably about 10 degrees cooler. So, a little bit of a cold snap, only going up to about 62 today, which I personally don't mind. I'm from Pennsylvania originally, and not a big fan of the super hot weather all the time, which is strange because I'm going to be dealing with it when I move to the Philippines. No real four seasons over there, you know. But I don't know, big difference from my old plans in life. Once upon a time I thought, oh, maybe I'll probably go and spend football season every year back up in Pittsburgh, you know, go see the Steeler games and all that shit. But I won't be doing that now, unless I can watch them in the middle of the night over in the Philippines someday. Anyways, I was watching a video this morning by Sunshine Shoulders talking about the 3 different levels of being broke in the Philippines, which were broke and flat broke and dead broke. And he made some good points. Easy to get stuck there without enough money to get by if you're not careful. And of course, he had the usual conversation about people who just give away their life savings to some woman, and then they're stuck there, can't even get a return ticket home or anything. And for a lot of these guys who are there with maybe only making like $1,000, $1,500 a month or something, it's tough situation. Because even like he pointed out, people who are keeping up with their monthly expenses and all of that, they can't really go anywhere, you know, go travel around to the nice places in the Philippines and see all the cool stuff there is to do, because they've got enough money to get by, but that's it, you know. And when you're in that situation, it's kind of hard to be saving up money for a trip back home or whatever. So hopefully if you go over there, you've got enough money coming in every month that at any given time, even if you don't have a bunch of savings, that maybe you still have enough extra out of your monthly income to be able to go ahead and just pay for a return flight home if you needed to. If you've got that much coming in every month, though, unless you're just totally blowing everything, you should be able to save some money every month. And that's what got me thinking about my own situation, because fortunately, you know, I'm in a situation where, unlike a lot of people, I'll have a pension coming in plus Social Security. And honestly, even though you need to have a little bit of savings of some sort before you go over there, something to help take care of an emergency, still, if you've got $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month coming in, you know, depending on what that's going to be after taxes, or if you decide to hold on to any of your medical or life insurance or anything like that after you retire that you got to pay for, Medicare, whatever. Hopefully, you know, if you're actually clearing like $3,000 a month, you should be able to save like $1,000 a month and still have a good life. And that's kind of the reason that I'm looking forward to going over there, with hopefully having everything pretty much taken care of that we need to, as far as not having to worry about housing, because we have a house built, and get the last few little things polished off on that before we move over there. Maybe we might be putting up a wall around the lot that we've got that house on. So we may need to take care of that. I'd like to do that. If we're going to do it, at least maybe get that done before we move over there. But if I can go over there with the housing situation taken care of, and I've got a pension and Social Security, there's no reason why we can't live just a normal, reasonable life and still be able to save some money. That's the kind of stuff that's easy to say in advance, of course. A lot of people have probably said that, but that's what Calvin was talking about. You have to have that discipline with your budget to make it go as far as it needs to go. Not be running out of money halfway through the month and then asking other people for money. That's probably a good argument too for having some stuff saved up in terms of food or whatever that you can eat if you did get in a bad situation over there where you could get by for a week or two without any money coming in. If you were worried that might be an issue, when you have the chance, if you can get some good basic staples put aside. In the Philippines, of course, that'd probably be like some rice and maybe some different canned meats or whatever, where if you absolutely had to, you could get by for a few weeks without having any kind of income until you get your next money deposited in your bank or whatever. But it was a good video just for me because in terms of reminding me some of the things you need to think about whenever you're going over there, because it's going to be close for me now. I'm going over in May, like I said before, for 2.5 weeks, and that might be the last time I go back before I actually retire and move over there. My wife, I know, is going back that next May, or April, May, that next year in 2027 for her one niece's graduation from high school. Be there for that. She doesn't want to miss that. We've already missed a lot of stuff in their lives. Got those two nieces especially that basically my wife was more of their mother than their mother was, and she's already missed out on a lot of big events in their life, a lot of their time going to school, all those different things that they've done, because they were still very young whenever she moved over here 8 years ago. So that's a big chunk of their school years that she missed, that she sacrificed to move over here and be with me. A lot of times you hear these guys talking about how the men, us foreigners, we're the prize, and the woman is the one who's hit the lottery, not us. And they talk about the stupid old men who think they've hit it big. Beautiful woman from the Philippines. And a lot of these guys don't take into account what some of these women give up to be with them. My wife, I know, what's the word I should look for? Not sarcastic, but a lot of people looking in from the outside would say, well, yeah, but look what she got from you, and being able to come over here, and now, you have a nice big house that she wouldn't have had if she hadn't married you, perhaps, and she's got to go to America, get her American citizenship, and all these things. And people act like the women are just in it for some selfish benefit. Personally, I think if I was a woman, I'd be looking to find out what's in it for me too if I was getting married to someone, especially if it was someone who was going to be with them. I had to leave my family, my home country, everything that I knew and loved around me, and go off to some other place to be with them until they retired from their job and were able to move back to the Philippines. And that's what my wife did for me, She sacrificed a lot to be able, just to be with me and to get married to me and to be able to come over here to America and live here with me until I get to the point where I can retire from my job and we can move back over there. all those years of things that she missed that she could have been doing with her family. And so as far as I'm concerned, she should be getting something for it, you know? I should be making sure that the experience is a rewarding one for her. And it's not just in terms of, financial things and all of that. Sure, she got to come to America, get her American citizenship, and see a lot of things that she wouldn't have gotten to otherwise. But my wife wasn't really one of those people who was always wanting to just move off to America. She had cousins and people who were always saying, yeah, they're going to get married to somebody or go off and live in another country. And that really wasn't what my wife ever had as her big plan in life until we met and ended up getting involved, And a lot of guys just do not take into account the things their wives sacrifice to be with them, especially if they're bringing them over here to another country and taking them away from all their family. They act like, oh, it's all some kind of big one-sided benefit to the woman. Like everybody's wanting to come to the United States, and what could possibly be a bigger dream of anyone than to come here to America? And that's just not what everybody else in the world is necessarily looking for. A lot of people here would like to believe that, but when you actually know people from other places, you realize that the vast majority of the people in the world, it's not their big dream to move to America. There is life and civilization in other places, and there are a lot of other places that have a lot of things about them that are really cool, and for a lot of people, feel that it's even better than being in America, So a lot of guys need to kind of get that out of their heads, I think. Calvin was talking about how a foreigner will date a broke Filipina, but a Filipina won't date a broke foreigner. But why would she? That's what kind of cracks me up about some of these guys. They act like there's some inequality there that, well, she doesn't want to be with you if you're broke. Why should you be with her if you're broke? Anybody who goes over there with any kind of common sense at all knows that you're not... Well, first of all, some people, if they're actually just going over there because they heard it was a nice cheap place to live and they want to make their Social Security stretch farther, and people speak English, and maybe the whole getting involved with a woman thing wasn't necessarily top of their mind anyways. But for a lot of guys, yeah, they go over there knowing that they can get involved with, some beautiful Filipina who isn't going to expect them to be a multi-millionaire. And even though they do have a limited amount of funds, that still, it's a lot more than most people over there have, and they're not going to have any trouble finding women who want to be with them. But to act like that's some kind of an unusual situation, why would someone want to be with some broke foreigner who moved over there and can't give them something that they couldn't get from somebody else who speaks their same language and knows all their customs and everything, and might have at least a chance over there of getting a job and having some kind of income and making it work out? Too many men really do think that they are just God's gift to the Filipina, and they forget how much their wife is giving to them, and they forget how much their wife is sometimes giving up for them, Let me back into my space here. Nobody on the road today. Nobody in these parking spaces either. I hope it's not going to be too long a day. Hope some of my fellow employees show up the day after Thanksgiving. But I just got to thinking about all that, watching that video that Calvin did. Why would you think that a Filipina would be interested in dating you if you're broke and can't do anything for her? That doesn't mean that that you can't be involved in a real relationship over there. But anywhere, if you're getting involved with a woman they're going to be wondering, why should I give my life to this man and do all these things for him and sacrifice all the things I have to sacrifice to be with him and keep him happy if he can't do anything for me? If you were a Filipina, what would you do, you know? But people say that like a Filipina won't date a broke foreigner, so, you know, why should you be dating a broke Filipina? That just betrays a total lack of common sense and understanding of what the situation is there. It's not like, you know, being here in America and expecting, you know, if that's your thing, that you have to date somebody who has their own money or whatever. You know, she's not going to have a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year job or more, if, you know, like she would here maybe in America. I mean, you meet somebody here in America, and if that's your thing, you need to be dating someone who has their own money so that they don't depend on you. You figure at least they're probably going to be, you know, if they got some kind of reasonable job, they're going to be making $30,000 to $40,000 minimum, and they can help out with things. And if that's what you need, then okay. I guess don't date a broke Filipina. If that's what you're going, if you think you're going to the Philippines to find a woman to help you out with your expenses, that's just not why most people are going there. And I think that's what we have to remember when we talk about that question. And I think most guys understand that when they go there, they're not looking for someone to help them out with their expenses and stuff. You know, like, oh, I can't date anybody unless they have a job and they're going to pitch in and help me pay my rent or something. I mean, what kind of guy does that, you know, in the Philippines? You got to be crazy. A lot of people, and this is another thing in my own situation. I spent most of my own life, you know, here in America for a long time, not worrying about anybody else really, on my own, living a pretty selfish life. And, you know, you hear people talk about how you need to be selfish in the fourth quarter and just take care of yourself. People like that don't understand that there are a lot of guys who don't just want to be selfish anymore, that they've already done that. And sure, maybe being unselfish and giving in the last quarter of your life is backwards for some people. You know, but a lot of us, we're satisfied with where we are and what we have and who we are and who we've become and what we've learned and the things that we have done in our life. And we don't look at taking care of somebody else or having a family in the end stages of our life as being some kind of a burden that is taking from us. I cannot repay my wife for what she's given me. You know, the joy, the happiness, you know, being around her and the kind of person she is and the life that we have with our family in the Philippines and everything that's come into my life since we got involved. All these people act like you need to be selfish and look after yourself and your own needs. You'd have to have enough to take care of yourself, obviously. You know, it's just like anytime you talk about any kind of a situation, you have to take care of yourself first, or else you're not going to be in a situation to take care of anybody else. But I think especially in this time of Thanksgiving, a lot of men need to take stock of where they are and all the things they have to be thankful for. Because your Filipina might not bring a lot of cash money to the table, but she's giving you more in your life than you could ever buy with any kind of money. And a lot of people just don't seem to appreciate that fact. So be thankful. Be thankful for what you have.